Hello, hello. Welcome to Parkland Media. I am your host, Spade Parkland. Thank you for clicking on the video. According to my analytics, a lot of people who watch my content have not subscribed to the channel. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on any notifications. Hit the notification bell and make sure it's set to all. Thanks for watching, and now enjoy the video.
I just wanted to say thank you for what you did last night.
You're welcome.
Something happened to me a few days ago.
I heard. You okay?
No, not really. I think this place has gotten in my head now. I'm scared of what that might mean. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't.
It's okay. You can say it.
I don't want to end up like you.
I wouldn't either.
It's showtime.
Hello. Welcome. Thumb up the video, share everywhere, including your YouTube community tab. Hype me up. Thanks for watching. Thank you for being a channel member. For those who are channel members, also thank you for those who donate. Thank you for commenting in the comment section, all that great stuff. Let's get started. So bottom line up front, bluff. Bottom line up front. The theory is Miranda was going to save Julie and Ethan. So technically, this is a season 5 theory, even though I have not seen season 4. So we're getting that crazy. It's going to be some yoga stretching. It's going to be a stretch. I honestly think this might end up being a season 5 spoiler. That's how strongly I feel about everything that I'm going to present in this video. So, spoiler alert, if you don't want to accidentally stumble upon any spoilers for season 5, I think I have the answer. Of course, there's going to be other theories before we get to season 4, but I think this right here is going to sum up the entire series. I believe I figured it out. You can let me know in the comment section your thoughts on it. All right, let's get started. So I will show some video. I will be showing some video, but before getting into the video, I have this busy thumbnail behind me. Miranda was trying to save Ethan and Julie. So this is a bottom line up front situation. All right, I'm just going to give you the meat and potatoes now, and then we'll get to the dessert. When Henry was talking to Tabitha, season 3, when she went to Maine and he took her to the basement, I think Henry, in an exposition dump, he explained the entire series. What he left out, though, was when Miranda was going to save the children, I think Miranda's visions weren't her seeing random stuff or supernatural forces wanting her to do something after she took the acid trip and started having visions. I think that the visions that she was seeing was visions of the future. So when Miranda was talking about trying to save the children, she could not have been talking about the ghoulish children because they were already sacrificed before Miranda even went into Fromville. And we know that Tabitha went to the tower, aka the lighthouse, season 2. There were no children there. The boy in white pushed her out, and I believe he did that, saying it's the only way, is because Tabitha basically was to let people in the outside world know that people in Fromville was alive. No one explained that to her. I think the boy in white overheard the conversation between Jade and Tom, the bartender, and the boy in white came to that conclusion to help people know outside that the people inside Fromville were still alive if the radio did not work, and it didn't season 1. So we know there's no children at the tower. I believe that Miranda saw visions of the future, and the children that she was trying to save was basically Ethan and Julie being held captive in the lighthouse, season 5. I think it's going to be a situation where somehow Julie and Ethan get, and this is all a theory, Julie and Ethan get kidnapped. They're in the tower, and someone, maybe like Randall, maybe the man in the yellow suit, is like, come get your children, to lure Tabitha and Jade to the lighthouse and give them a choice to sacrifice themselves to save Ethan and Julie, or sacrifice Ethan and or Julie for everyone to go home. I think it's going to be one of those choice events. And if that's the direction the writers, the creators go, it's probably going to be more than just Jade and Tabitha there. Other people are going to be like, I don't want to be stuck here forever, but I don't want to hurt any teddy bears. Jade and Tabitha are not going to want to sacrifice Ethan and Julie. So I think Tabitha and Jade, remembering who they come from, remembering the reincarnated lives, the past lives, I think Jade and Tabitha will sacrifice themselves in order for Ethan and Julie to be freed. I also can see the end of the series, season 5, where a lot of people are going to be sacrificing themselves or just simply dying to either save someone else or to take out someone from the evil side with them. I could see someone like Randall being evil now because he was, in my opinion, forced to ingest something. He feels jaded because Boyd left him. I could see him joining the evil side to get his lick back. I also could see other people who are trapped in Fromville. People are hungry. I've already shown in previous videos of weight loss, which I think signifies a time jump, and food scarcity. People are going to be like, I'm hungry. I don't want to stay here forever. I want to live. I want to go back home. They're going to be desperate, and they're going to be no different than people who are victims of human trafficking. So everyone in Fromville is a human trafficking victim. I don't know if you personally watching or if you know anyone or have heard of anyone being a human trafficking victim, but in time, most victims will do anything to gain freedom, favor, or be comfortable. We as humans, we want to and like to be comfortable. Most of the victims, at first, they're trying to escape. They're trying to resist. In time, through operant conditioning by the captors more than likely will systematically break down victims to condition them to do what the captors want them to do, and the captors will reward them for that. Or if they don't do what the captors want them to do, they'll be punished. And in time, eventually, everyone breaks. Everyone breaks. And sometimes the breaking could be taking yourself out, complying, or just trying to get comfortable, or trying to keep escaping. And worst case scenario is someone loses their mind. So again, I don't want to get deep in the weeds with that. I know a lot of people who watch they're more just wanting to be entertained. They don't really want to know about the panda eyes, or they don't really want to know about the drinking of blood and how that's satanic, or how there's different esoteric, symbolic things in the show, such as tarot cards, drinking the blood. And, you already know how I've already pointed out that when it comes to church communion, they have people eating crackers or bread, and they're saying this is for the body, and then you're drinking juice or wine, this is for the blood, and then you're consuming both of them, which symbolizes people eating. I was on a panel, and people were trying to debate me about that, like, oh, you must didn't grow up in the church. And I'm like, well, people who grew up in the church, just like any other child, is institutionalized, and they believe that they're not doing what they're doing. Anyway, I digress from that. But on a serious note, everyone in Fromville is a human trafficking victim, and human trafficking is basically just taking someone from somewhere against their will and moving them somewhere else. That's it. That's trafficking. Now, other parts associated with trafficking can also be false imprisonment, enslavement. There's a whole bunch of different subsections of human trafficking, but human trafficking is a catch-all. So people in they are human traffic victims because they're driving in their vehicle. They were going one place. They were forced against their will to go into Fromville, and they're not allowed to leave. And I believe that Fromville, which is alive, which I think is a human representation of Fromville, is the man in the yellow suit. The people who are captive in Fromville, they're rewarded for doing what Fromville wants them to do, and they're punished for doing what Fromville does not want them to do. Even the boy in white was telling Sarah that Nathan was right. This place is angry. And we saw that there, all of the soil by Colony House went bad, and people had to take an adventure all the way down to the settlement to get the wild vegetables in order to eat. And I think that was just to get people away from town, to get resources, to get them conditioned to leave town and leave safety and go out further into the forest, which is considered dangerous, according to Martin. In time, most victims will do anything to gain freedom, favor, or be comfortable. Elgin is a victim. Sarah is a victim. Miranda was a victim, and she had visions of the future, but I think she was thinking that someone was telling her to create what she saw. In actuality, she was seeing what she was going to create, like the bottle trees, and ended up creating the bottle trees that she saw. There are cod neck bottles. So this is from Wikipedia for cod neck bottle. I'm not really a fan of using Wikipedia, to be honest with you, because anybody can edit it and add and whatever. But for this theory, we're going to go with Wikipedia's history of cod neck bottle. So in 1872, Hiram Cod basically made the cod neck bottle, and it became popularized in the 1900s, meaning it was starting to be created and sold for carbonated drinks. So if the bottles were popularized in the 1900s, and the trap for Fromville, I think, was set in mid-century, which is 1950s, which kind of explains why the original townspeople, who are creatures, only have clothes from 1950s. From 1900 to 1950s would be the window to get the bottles into Fromville. So that means that for someone to create the bottle tree, the bottles would have to exist. So that rules out before the 1900s. That rules out the what I believe are the death years, with the death year starting 1506 going all the way to 1978. So that rules out anyone before 1900s bringing in the bottles to make the bottles free. And it couldn't be after the trap is set, because once you're there, you can't leave. That means the neon lights from the motel and the diner, which would have to be made in the 1900s when neon lights were invented, plus the bottles. That means whoever did most of the stuff in Fromville had to have done it before the trap was set, after the stuff was invented. So it's more than likely Miranda bought a bunch of bottles, glass bottles, was going to go to the park to make another bottle tree or decorate more of the bottle tree that she already made, and then went into Fromville. And then with the bottles that she brought in this theory, she used that to create the bottle trees. There's one that's where Sarah and Boyd were at when Sarah collapsed, and the other one's the bottle faraway tree that Victor told Tabitha always goes to the lighthouse, which is not true. It's more than likely Miranda's the one that make those bottle trees. Now, Victor said that he doesn't know who made the bottle trees. I think that could be another thing where Victor's blocking out that memory, just like he blocked out Eloise. All right, taking a quick break to thank those who have kept the lights on. I appreciate it. First up, we have Laura Johnson 7355. Thank you for the super thanks. She says, hello from Middle Earth. Rambling, or what we in New Zealand call spinning a yarn, is the grooviest part of your videos. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's a stretch. It's a yoga stretch has become a vibrant new addition to my everyday vocabulary interactions. Yes. Sometimes we stretching the truth. Sometimes we're stretching belief. We doing a whole bunch of stretching. And the stretching gets so extreme that we're even yoga stretching. Thanks for the super thanks and supporting my spinning a yarn. I hope to get everything into a ball one day. So thank you, Laura. I appreciate it. Next up, we have, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Yeah. Thank you, Amanda, for being #1 channel member, #1 donator, #1 support, #1 in every statistical category. Thank you. Thank you. Amanda says, I can see your theory, but it could be that when Miranda and Christopher met, if they did, he could have followed her in his car and they both ended up at the tree. I mean, she did have her ring off. Okay. She did have her ring off. So anything's possible. Just saying. Victor does say that it had been a long time since 2 cars showed up in Fromville, although Victor isn't always dependable. No, he's not. No, he's not, unfortunately. She's saying that the kimono woman may have wanted Christopher to get Miranda pregnant to make up for the child they refused to donate at the beginning. Even though the daughter was sacrificed, maybe they were supposed to donate the daughter, and that was to complete the overall ritual that the evil side wants them to do. Maybe Christopher didn't want to donate again. Another yoga stretch. The monsters do seem interested in Randall even before the attack after the ambulance. And Randall was whittling that wood face on the bus that looked similar to the wood faces back at the cabins. Is he a reincarnation too? Randall, being a colony house itself, says something. He probably does feel that way. Could be. I think it would be interesting if everyone has a connection to From and not just randomly coming in, because with Boyd, when he was serving in the army, he had a soldier named Brian Kelly. And then a Brian and a Kelly came on the Grand Rapids bus into Fromville. And Boyd was like, what's the chance of there being a Brian and a Kelly when I served with a Brian Kelly? And then also you have Marielle, who was the fiance to Christy. Then you have Elgin, who had prophetic dreams of Fromville before entering. And there may be other connections from the people on the bus. It's highly unlikely that people from Michigan, or really Grand Rapids, we'll just say Michigan because we don't know what part of Michigan they may have came from or lived in, but I know Grand Rapids would run all over Michigan based off of the sign on the bus on the inside. So everyone in Michigan has this connection to people in Fromville. Highly unlikely. Even Jim was saying, yeah, that's highly unlikely. It's a really big yoga stretch unless there's someone who was maybe playing puppet master to get certain people on that bus. It's possible that Randall could have a connection to Fromville, maybe even be a reincarnation. Who knows? So I responded, says, this is genius level. Yes, it is. It definitely is genius level. I never thought about the kimono woman possibly wanting Christopher to get Miranda pregnant to make up for the child they refused to donate. Christopher not wanting to donate again, so they made him give Eloise. That's what I said in the previous video. This is not a yoga stretch at all. Yikes, good stuff. So yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
I think it's a good theory. I think it's really interesting. And hopefully the writers go in all these directions that we're all throwing out there. It's possible it could be that they're just kind of sprinting to the end and not really worried about the details. We'll see. But yeah, thank you, Amanda Kenny, 4997 for the super thanks. I appreciate it. Next, we have Michael Sullivan. Thank you for the super thanks. He says, I have a sneaking suspicion that it was the man in yellow who took Eloise in and raised her with some pretty sinister beliefs. He's going to be a major character in season 4, and having Eloise as an acolyte would add leverage to his big bad routine, especially against Victor. Haven't heard any casting news apart from Sophia, though, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's tied to him too. I suspect Pastor's daughter casting, and the rest of it's cut off, but he was saying that Sophia could be Maniela Suit's daughter. And so I responded, would be awesome if Sophia, confirmed for season 4, is really Eloise, actress wearing a black wig. Even though the behind the scenes stuff, we see her in blonde, which is, I think, her natural hair, like a blonde or dirty blonde. In the actual show, she could have on a wig or maybe dyed her hair somehow. And she really could be Eloise that's brainwashed in a way. Because like I was saying before, when it comes to human trafficking, people can be manipulated. When you think about it, Eloise, the last memory she has of her mom is being abandoned. Eloise runs upstairs, maybe caught by Christopher, the kimono woman, or whoever, and they tell her to go with them. They later show Miranda deceased, the people in town deceased. They say maybe your mom abandoned you, and look what happened. We're not going to abandon you. And Eloise, being a child, she's going to have a breakdown, be crying. Systematically, it's possible to reward Eloise for positive behavior, punish her for negative behavior, and in time, through operant conditioning, convert her into a follower. Especially if you're preaching to her, teaching her things, it's very much possible to convert her. Not to get too meta, but according to the U.S. Army, when in the past, when they were trying to take over America, they were overwhelmed by the indigenous population because the indigenous population knew the terrain. They had guerrilla fighting tactics, and they were really proficient as working as a unit using melee weapons. The U.S. Army had to form alliances with the enemies of the indigenous population, which was other Native Americans, in order to defeat the Native Americans in the areas that they wanted to control. Unfortunately, the Native Americans who joined with the U.S. Army to attack other indigenous populations, they were betrayed, and that's where you get the Trail of Tears from. There's more details than that. I'm just, not a historian. There's more details of that, but basically the Native Americans or the indigenous population were defeated and conquered because they weren't united under one chief. That's where the phrase "too many chiefs, not enough Indians" comes from, because if they were united as one nation, there would be no United States of America. And I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad or put anyone down, but that's just the truth. The indigenous population were an overwhelming force. The only way the U.S. Army was able to defeat anyone was divide and conquer, and then they betrayed them. The children of the indigenous population ended up going into the American schools, and some, not all, became indoctrinated. And it may have not been the second generation, may have been like third or fourth, but the indoctrination by the public school system in America has a lot of them, and I'm just giving my account because I've spent some time in Arizona. The people I've met in Arizona who are indigenous population, Native Americans, they work at places like Walmart, and those Walmarts are located on Indian School Road. So the term Indian is actually offensive to the indigenous population. There have been strides made to right the wrongs of using terms like Indian and Redskin. So the guy I was talking to, who belonged to a tribe, we had a candid conversation, and I just asked him, like, hey, how do you feel about working at a Walmart for what you all would call pale skin on Indian School Road? And he was like, yeah, I understand how that looks and stuff, but I got to get money. And that's it. So I said that to say, Eloise, being a human trafficking victim, she could be indoctrinated to serve the man in the yellow suit and go against her own interest, even if she finds out about Henry being in town and Victor being alive. Just because of the single point of failure, which was Miranda abandoning Eloise and Eloise feeling abandoned. It'd be awesome if Sophia was really Eloise in adult form. We'll see. But thank you, Michael Sullivan, for that super thanks. I rambled enough. Thank you. I appreciate it. And also, Adventurous Exile, thank you for the super thanks. I appreciate it. Says he got on my yoga shorts, Nikes, and of course my yoga mat. I said, yeah, this one was the fallen angel pose for sure. Thank you for the super thanks. I believe decapitation is the answer. He was talking about how to defeat the creatures, one ways he would do it. And I told him that Smiley leaned back. Season 2, when Boyd sliced his throat before giving him the worms. So the throat must be something that is a vulnerability, or at least a point to where they could possibly be killed, because Smiley leaned back in a defensive manner. We've seen the creatures somewhat, quote unquote, eat bullets and even get hit by vehicles. They don't care, not even phased. But Smiley leaning back from Boy swiping the knife, and then the worms went inside of his neck. My blood is your blood, that Boyd said, that Martin said to him when Martin gave Boyd the worms. And then next thing you know, Smiley died. I mean, Smiley was reborn, but Smiley did die. He did die. And they're promised eternal life. So now you have to go to the source, which is it that I think Ethan was speaking of when he was in his when he was asleep in the RV after he hurt his leg in season 1. I think whatever it is that did the Faustian bargain for eternal life, you got to get rid of that thing, get rid of that guy. I think you get rid of that guy, get rid of that thing, then the creatures will be vulnerable and you can play Punch Out or something. Miranda told Eloise and Victor stories about what she saw in visions. However, Eloise more than likely had the same ability as Miranda, or could story walk, since she's the only one who created the pictures that she made, which included the lighthouse. Victor was hearing the same stories but didn't draw the same pictures. Victor only drew what he saw instead of what he heard, and that's why he didn't draw the lighthouse. Now, Eloise did draw the lighthouse. She did draw the lighthouse. However, Victor could have copied Eloise's drawings and also drew the lighthouse. Victor didn't copy Eloise's work. He must have to see something in real life to be able to actually draw it or want to draw it. Now it comes to, did Eloise draw the pictures from her own visions or from Miranda's? And I think Eloise drew them from her own visions instead of what Miranda was telling her, just because Eloise drew things that Miranda didn't draw. So I believe that Miranda was drawing and creating what she saw and what she experienced, like making a map of the township. So if Miranda saw something, she would have drew it, like she did the pictures in the basement at Henry's. So the stuff that Eloise drew that Miranda did not draw, it's more than likely Eloise drew that because she saw it or experienced it in a vision. Whereas with Miranda, I think Miranda would have drawn the lighthouse in the township if she was having that vision in the township. So if Miranda was telling Eloise about the tower, it's possible for Eloise to have drawn that. But then I think that Miranda would have also drawn it if she saw it while in Fromville. There's a picture of her drawing it before going into Fromville that's in the basement at Henry's, and I'll show you that in the video. That's what my theory is on that Eloise was actually drawing what she saw or experienced and not just going off of what Miranda was telling her.
I have to go.
You have to go?
Yes, I have to go.
Hey,
I have to go.
Where are you going?
I can't stay here anymore.
Why?
Because
We used to help
I
her.
can't help her. She's dead. She's dead, Ethan. People die here.
They're talking about Tien Chen Lu helping her after she's already deceased. And it's unfortunate. And so this scene to me just shows that both Ethan and Julie haven't really experienced much in life as far as death. Understandable. And they would more than likely, out of all the characters on the show right now, unless they introduce more, would be considered children.
Told you that it's all make-believe. I told you that bad things happen. It's not my fault that you didn't listen. I have to go.
Victor doesn't need to be saved because he's already, and I know people are going to hate for me to say this, but he's already damaged goods. And then the ghoulish children, they were sacrificed before Miranda had the visions. So unless we get some new children on the show, the children have got to be Ethan and Julie. All a theory. And so Miranda was saying that she needs to save the children. I think that Miranda, with seeing visions, saw the vision of Julie and Ethan being trafficked to the lighthouse, and they need to be saved. Because remember, Tabitha went to the lighthouse, season 2, episode 10, no children there. She's pushed out of the lighthouse by the boy in white. No children there. For Miranda to get the idea of save the children, it's got to be children that need to be saved, I think, in the future. Same way that I believe that Boyd met Martin in the future. And Martin, when he said that there's nightmares in the forest, things you were not meant to see, Martin's talking about in his time, at his point in time, that there's monsters everywhere and it's just really, really bad, that he would rather choose death over freedom. Again, trafficking victims, they sometimes think like that, to the point where they're like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to walk out of here or run out of here. I'd rather just end it right now. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the unfortunate aspect of dealing with somebody who's been captive like Martin for a long time. They just don't want to live with what they've experienced. They don't think that it's just worth going on. And I know you all don't want to hear that, but I mean, Martin said it to Boyd. I think Martin was in the future, and that's the reason why Martin is talking about all this stuff that we haven't seen on the show yet, because that stuff's going to come up possibly season 4. In this theory, if Miranda did see Julie and Ethan in the lighthouse needing to be saved, that would add context to what the boy in white was telling Christopher. I just want to kind of defend my position on Victor having ability. So here's the steps right here. Okay, here's the steps. Looking over here, I mean, you see the light coming down. You're going to hear the steps squeak or creak, even with young Victor. There's no way that you're in this room and you can't see Victor there. I have a theory on that. I mean, there's the invisibility that I put in a previous video, but for this video, separate from that one, I have another theory. So I'm going to play it and then I'll come back with my commentary.
So I was quiet and I wanted to get closer.
You see how it's squeaking? See, even with him moving slow, it's creaking, but keep watching.
When I got to the bottom of the stairs.
You see that? Even young Victor creeping around, you hear a thud, 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 thud. There's no way that dude just was able to go down the steps, stand right there in plain view with the light shining on him, the light shining on his face, and no one notices him.
Jasper was telling secrets.
So you see how it's subdued in the back? I think it's subdued because Victor has some type of invisibility power. Ain't no way. And then you can't even see the light right here. See, the light was shining down when he came down the steps. You don't even see the light anymore.
And Christopher got angry. No, that's not right. It wasn't Jasper. Everything lies.
Okay, look. Everything lies here. Look where Christopher is positioned, where he's in a confrontation with the boy in white. The boy in white's got his fist balled up. There's no way that Christopher would not have looked over and seen Victor. What I think happened is this. If we're not going to go with story walking or invisibility, a third possibility, in my opinion, is the boy in white has the power to either manipulate somebody, like the voices can manipulate, like they did with Sarah, making her write stuff, or the boy in white was able to use his energy to hide Victor, to where Christopher wouldn't see Victor, but the boy in white knew Victor was there. I think this is a part of the boy in white's plan, and hear me out. So I think that the same way that the voices were telling Sarah that 2 vehicles were going to collide together and to be in position to see that future event, and Miranda in her visions seeing future events, and Julie story walking, time travel shenanigans that the boy in white knew that Christopher was going to turn him down, but the boy in white wanted Victor to eavesdrop so that what the boy in white was telling Christopher, Victor would tell Miranda so that Victor would have the information. Miranda would be taken out by Smiley. Victor having this information growing up in Fromville and then giving it to Tabitha. That is the reason why the boy in white wanted Victor to eavesdrop. And so also Miranda already had visions about Save the Children before getting into Fromville. So Victor, hearing this eavesdrop conversation, would have the information to give to Tabitha to make Tabitha go to the lighthouse and then get pushed out to let people in Maine know that people in Fromville are alive. That's just the whole purpose of this situation, is just for Victor to eavesdrop and get the information to go tell Miranda.
It was the boy in white. He was the one that was down here. He was the one who was telling secrets to Christopher. He said the answers to the end are at the beginning.
The answers to the end of the show are at the beginning, seen by Miranda. That's the blanks that we're going to fill in. The answers to the end of the show, the end of the series, were at the beginning with Miranda, and that she was going to save the children by seeing a future vision in this theory of Julie and Ethan being held captive, trafficked, if you will, in the lighthouse. So Miranda never stood a chance. Just like what Jade was telling Tabitha, because Tabitha had dreams of being a child in Fromville, that she was predetermined to come into Fromville. Miranda was predetermined to lose because she's going to save children that haven't been created yet.
That it started with the children. What the others did to them.
What others, Victor?
The people they loved. The people they trusted. He said the children were born in the dark. And then they were murdered.
For Tabitha and Jade to sing the children lullabies would mean that they were a part of the group of the original townspeople that were creating teddy bears in the dark and planning to take out teddy bears in the dark. Why would you be wanting to save the children and sing them lullabies at the same time? You sing lullabies for children to go to sleep. So Jade and Tabitha singing them lullabies was probably to make them go to sleep because they're crying, they're in the dark, they're scared. It's to have them to go to sleep. In this theory, Jade and Tabitha were down, even down with their teddy bear, their female teddy bear. I'm using all this language for censorship purposes to get around it. But they were complicit in that. They drew the line at cubs. And that's when they were impaled on the tree, which I said in the previous video.
In the dark.
If you don't believe that people would create teddy bears for the sole purpose of sacrifice or to be sold or whatever, you're asleep. When it comes to the billion-dollar industry of human trafficking, majority of commodities are born into the system. And then when they get too old for the system, they become recruiters. That's your top level. That's how they get down. That's how they roll. They either pay people to create teddy bears or they use the governments and armies to take people's teddy bears from them, i.e. CPS. And I'm not trying to make you feel a certain way if you've given your child up for adoption or anything, but just understand that there are certain groups that are like against what a woman does with her body. If you know, you know. And they more than likely are against it because they make money off of the system. If you make a teddy bear, that teddy bear got to come out of you. Do not stop the process. And that's part of the reason why that they want that, is because they make money off of teddy bears being exported, imported, the works. And that's your very top level, that you're born into the system and you're raised in a home where you are property. So in America, antebellum slavery was outlawed 1850. Even after the Civil War, guess what the U.S. government had to do to make sure that people gave up people in bondage? They had to go from house to house to house, plantation to plantation to plantation, and physically have people freed. Nobody wants to give up captives when it comes to trafficking. You'll hear on the news that the government will have all these busts at the border, millions of dollars of this, millions of dollars of that. You rarely hear of a large quantity of people who are in bondage being freed, because the system is that old, that efficient, unfortunately.
But someone who loved them told them a story. The story gave them hope. And when the children laid on the stones, they poured their hope into the roots that made the symbol, and those roots became the tree.
The faraway tree.
The boy in white was trying to tell Christopher that to save the children, he would have to go through the tree. He wouldn't listen. He got angry.
Everything lies here.
Everything does lie here. I don't blame Christopher for not wanting to pick a side. I think that just like what they did with Randall, they forced Christopher to pick a side. They forced him to comply. Miranda was telling Victor, hide somewhere where Christopher can't find you.
Christopher wouldn't listen. So
What?
Christopher would go to the tree, so I told my mother what the boy in white said. That's why she left us.
It's sad because Miranda hid the children to keep them safe, but Victor believes that their mother abandoned them to go save them children. And if this theory is true, Miranda was going on a fool's errand. And I think Smiley ran and took Miranda out to make sure that Victor would repeat the lie of go to the tower to save the children. It's a psychological thing to break them down and to remove hope and make them suffer. All right, so now we're going to have an exposition dump by Henry explaining the entire series.
Well, believe it or not, it all started on my birthday. See, me and Miranda were hippies back in the day, but we gave up all the drugs, all the drinking when she got pregnant with Victor. Then one day, years later, it was my 35th birthday. Miranda gets it in her head that we're going to take a stroll down memory lane. She gets us 2 hits of acid. We take the kids to her parents' house for the night, and we take one last trip for old time's sake. That's when the voices started, when she started seeing things.
So Miranda's hearing voices and seeing things. So she's got a double thing going on. So she's a mixture of what Ethan's got going on and what Sarah has going on. And so the voices might have been telling her, go save the children in the lighthouse. Leave Victor and Eloise in the root cellar. And Miranda, just like Sarah, believed it. They may have told her, go to the lighthouse and save the children, or you lose your own. Wicked stuff.
She painted everything she saw.
That's the ghoulish children right there.
Oh my God. That's
said it was like she'd been chosen. She said it.
This kind of appears to be the drawing for the talisman stone. So what if Miranda, being controlled by the voices telling her to do something, Miranda's hearing the voices tell her to go to the grotto cave and to draw this on some stones and put them back for Boyd to find them later on. That'd be wicked. To me, that'd make the most sense because these symbols can mean anything, but in this theory, Miranda's seeing stuff in the future that she's either seen, experienced, or will do. And then when she gets to town, she just does those things like create the bottle tree, create the talisman stones and all that.
Was a place that was everywhere.
That right there is what I was mentioning earlier about the lighthouse. Miranda saw it, she drew it, but she drew it here. So when getting to the town, there's no more pictures of the lighthouse except for what Eloise made.
But you couldn't find it if you tried.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Somewhere you could stumble into from anywhere, but
from anywhere.
never find a way to leave.
So never find a way to leave. I think that is foreshadowing the end of the series. No one leaves. The only survivors are Julie and Ethan.
She said there were people there. People who were lost and afraid, who found themselves living inside a nightmare that they couldn't escape.
Henry basically is summing up the entire series. So Miranda, with the voices, more than likely heard and saw the entire series. In addition to what's going to be happening season 5 with Julie and Ethan being trapped in the lighthouse. So Miranda was going to save the children that weren't in the lighthouse until later on in the series.
Fighting a battle they knew they couldn't win. She said they were holding on to hope. And when that hope was gone, they held on to each other. It all sounded like riddles, gibberish. She said that of all the people who would find their way to this place, she was the one who had been chosen to free the children.
She thought she was chosen because it was shown to her, but in actuality, she's just seeing the future.
But she wasn't the first. Others were chosen before her. She could see each and every one, and all of them had failed. None of them had ever set the children free, and none of them had ever gone home. So if you've seen the children, if they've called to you, then I guess you've been chosen now too. So how did you get out?
Okay, taking a detour. So on the left, this is behind the scenes of season 4. This is Jade, and this is Kenny's Instagram. And so there's a mask that's to the right. And online, in the comment section of Instagram, they were saying that the art department was having a mask contest. I think that's a cover that this mask is from this picture that was in Henry's basement. And I think that means that we're going to be seeing more creature time and more nightmares in the forest like Martin was talking about. So I'm going to just make this as large as possible to where you can kind of see that. And to me, there is a resemblance because you got the regular eye here, regular eye there. Then you have like kind of a closed eye. And, you know, they don't really show you the entire picture because the angle is looking at other stuff, and every picture is not picked up and like put in front of the camera like we would like to have. But I think that this is one of the future creatures that we're going to see, or monsters, which looks crazy. And I think Miranda saw it and drew a picture of it. And I think the camera cut it off because they didn't want to spoil what was going to be for season 4. This mask or this monster is going to be season 4, and it was foreshadowed here. People were saying that this mask was representative of this picture on the wall here. That could be so. This artwork could be one graphic representation of the mask, but I think that the mask or what this monster is going to be was foreshadowed in Henry's basement, and a lot of other stuff in the basement was foreshadowed to be in season 4. So I guess we'll see that if that monster is going to be season 4, because the art department, in my opinion, from what I've seen as far as behind the scenes, they don't make stuff just to make it. Everything they make ends up in the show. So this mask may be some type of prototype for like something else or some type of CGI monstrosity. Who knows? But yeah, I think looking at this on the right, looking at this on the left, and then Jade sitting there looking at it, he more than likely, in my opinion, has some scenes with it. And this is a hint at what to expect for season 4, courtesy of Kenny's Instagram. All right, so we're at the bottle tree with Jade, Tabitha, and Jim, and this is season 3, episode 10. I don't think it's the music that brought the Nkui kids out. I think it's Jade and Tabitha finally accepting. Jade wanted to know the information, but I think he was closed-minded seasons 1, 2. Same thing with Tabitha. So remember when Jade went into the tunnels, he was scared. When he saw Jasper, he was startled, and he was somewhat brave, but I don't think he was fully ready to really get the answers. And I think Fromville has been spoon feeding them the answers so it doesn't blow their mind. And remember, even Tabitha, the ghoulish children coming and touching on her, she's like, oh, don't touch me, don't touch me. So I don't think that Tabitha and Jade were really ready to embrace the truth until season 3, episode 10. And that's the reason why the Nkui kids came, and instead of them being hostile, probably upset because your former reincarnations were a part of the original townspeople who kept us captive and were doing stuff to us. They're now ready for the truth.
They're here.
What? Where?
Do you see them? Come on, keep playing, keep playing.
Yeah, I think now just hearing that lullaby song, they're like, okay, they're ready to receive the information. And she's probably kneeling down because in the past, when they were doing their rituals, the original Tabitha and original Jade were kneeling down like the kimono woman when they were doing rituals and ceremony. Just because people are in a cult doesn't mean they don't do ritual and ceremony. They do communion as well. And I'll leave it at that.
What's that? Hungary. It means remember. We tried to save them.
You see how Tabitha says no? Tabitha wasn't ready. I think that the Nkui kids have done this before in the past, and they're never ready, but they can be as ready as possible before making contact. Because now Tabitha, she hears Nkui, eyes are opened. She's about to run away. She wasn't ready. Neither was Jade.
Because one of them. No. Oh, God.
And look at Tabitha. She's sad, but if I had a teddy bear who lost his or her life, when that teddy bear comes to me, I'm going to want to comfort that teddy bear, talk to the teddy bear, and love on the teddy bear. That's what I would want to do as a parent. But I think that Tabitha is like, she can't do it. She wants to leave because her and Jade were with the bad people. You're singing them lullabies. You're not saving someone if you're singing them lullabies.
No, I can't.
I can't. Tabitha's getting ready to run away. Usually when people are running away like that, they're sad, they're ashamed, eyes are open, don't want to deal with your own teddy bear. You could at least say something, but nah, now that her eyes are open, her and Jade, it should be interesting for season 4 because Tabitha may, if there is a time jump, be more open with explaining, or at least doing an exposition dump, talking to Jade, talking about what they did before wanting to save the children or trying to save them.
I can't.
What just happened? We used to sing them lullabies.
We used to sing them lullabies to put them to sleep while they're in the dark, crying and scared. See, even Jade, he doesn't even step forward. He's still sitting there in disbelief, maybe ashamed, remembering everything that his past life did, being ashamed. To me, Jade and Tabitha are expressing shame, remorse, regret. This is not two loving parents who lost a teddy bear that get, let's just say, a chance to say goodbye. Most parents pay for seances, pay for Ouija board sessions. They do the most to be able to communicate with a teddy bear who's passed away. Just to say hello one time, just to get more time, spend one more day with them. A lot of parents would destroy the entire planet just for 1 minute to spend with their teddy bear and just at least say goodbye. Jade and Tabitha, remembering who they came from in a past life, they're not trying to say goodbye. They're not trying to spend one more moment. They're not thinking about this as, you know what? I get another chance to spend time with my teddy bear who's no longer here. No. Embarrassment, shame, sorrow. Yeah. Jade and Tabitha, more than likely, especially with Jade saying that they sung lullabies, guilty. Yikes. So what do you think about the overall, I guess, theory for the entire series and everything? What are your theories? Do you agree, disagree? Let me know. So thanks for watching. Go forth, do great things, and I'm out. Peace.
I love you. I love you so much.